questions to begin with? Does everybody know what we're talking about?
No. Why don't you do a brief synopsis, Steve?
I have the time right. Okay.
Why does it sound like?
Mr. White, would you give us a brief synopsis, or would you like me to say it? I like putting people on the spot.
The purpose of the agreement is that the two agencies, fire department and fire district, are putting a form of partnership so that the fire department basically can hook into the wastewater treatment facility at Creekside. There's several reasons for putting this. Number one, there's a concern on the part of the fire district that our existing leach fields are vulnerable to flooding during high flood levels, which would neutralize the capability of the fire headquarters being an evacuation center. By putting in this wastewater treatment facility, that eliminates that possibility. We would continue in even high flood conditions, being able to use it as not only an evacuation center, but as a command and control center. So that's the basic problem that we were endeavoring to solve. The Park District determined that there was sufficient capacity to allow the fire department to get into it. There was considerable discussion with PRMD as to whether or not it could actually have that capacity, and we are still working with PRMD, and the way the system will work in operability means that there will be holding tanks at the fire department where wastewater can be shut off and going in the event that there's a high use of the Creekside property, higher than anticipated now by the Park District, and the Creekside wastewater treatment facility is saturated as a result of use at Creekside, then the fire department would cut off flows to that facility until such time as that usage diminished. That would anticipate, for example, a high use weekend or something like that. And so in order to achieve this, we wanted to form a partnership agreement the way government agencies form a partnership pursuant to the law under the government code. It's a form of joint powers. And that's what we're endeavoring to do. This document is joint powers authority. This is a standard procedure that's spelled out in the government code as a mechanism for permitting contracting between agencies. There's ways of administering one government agency or the other could administer it. In this instance, it was a desire of both the Park District and the Fire District to be a shared administration. So therefore, we constructed a joint powers authority where there will be two members from the board of Fire District and members of the board from the Park District, and those four people will select members of the board. And that's essentially the essence of the agreement.
Thank you, Ken.
Okay. Any questions? Yes.
Why would you give it such broad powers like the eminent domain and the right to borrow and the right to buy and the right to issue bonds and the right to be... Why would you give it such broad powers?
Well, that is actually just an enumeration of the powers that each of the two agencies already have and to exercise independently. And actually, through that, even if they weren't enumerated in the agreement, the individual agencies could exert all those powers It's in the ordinary course. She's talking. It's just in the ordinary conduct of businesses. It's generally accepted practice for joint powers agreements to include the elicitation of those powers.
I thought I read that it can include those. It automatically would include all the
No.
powers of the boat district?
Can I, please, it's relevant to the conversation. Okay, but she was talking. Okay, go ahead. Okay. Joint powers agreement, I mean, pretty much pins right up copies the rewrite of the joint powers agreement for the library system. And let me read you what it says about eminent domain. They're giving two options. Rather than leaving in the eminent domain protocol, that possibility, they give option one, eminent domain, add the following provisions of the preceding section, as the following thing: to acquire property by eminent domain would be one option. The other option would be the entity shall not have the power to acquire property by eminent domain unless the member having jurisdiction over the subject property has expressly granted it such power in writing. Alternatively, members may exercise their own eminent domain powers for the benefit of the entity. So you don't have to give this group eminent domain.
It already happens.
They don't already have it.
You can just eliminate that.
Well, and I think more to the point, all of these powers could be eliminated. I look at this thing as two neighbors. Me and my neighbor decide to put a redwood box between us and jointly share in it. And we probably come up with a tin can we'll throw $50 into every now and then. We'll agree to share the pump outs every now and then, all that kind of thing. The problem is that this kind of a thing, this has got me and my neighbors signing over title to our house, all of our bank accounts. Basically, they can tap into all of our funds, anything, and they can sue, we can be sued and everything else all over this little wastewater thing. And also, you're given the little entity that we formed, a little memo of understanding between my neighbor and I, the right to acquire an additional leach field somewhere else. Maybe there's a vacant lot on the street, and they can go ahead and purchase it.
So what do you
suggest? I suggest that we do a far simpler agreement, or at least, well, number one, this agreement is way too powerful to vote in, I feel, and without any community involved. We don't know, I'm sure you know, and Ken knows, if the fire department is an equivalently balanced financial entity, and who else will work with, but we haven't got anything in front of us to say we're going into partnership with somebody. If we opened up a bank book and just wrote a blank check into this neighborhood type thing, that's sort of what we're doing here. I don't know anything about the partners.
I think you're making it a little more complicated than it really is. What happened was both sides went to our legal advice, and this is what the legal advice said when you're dealing with two public entities. That's why you got all the extra stuff.
You can do it, but it's given a huge amount of power. And
The power is already vested in the two government entities that are entering the agreement.
no, we have no power to set up a wastewater district.
That's not what
This is
That's
an agreement, it's an agreement to share a highly engineered septic system that's going to be at Creekside Park.
What's the
In
title?
order for two government entities, hold on, in order for two government entities to do that, the most important statement is this authority, which is just specifically to this wastewater treatment capacity at
Can
Creekside.
you specific,
what
page you're on?
Yeah, so page 2 of A, powers and duties under authority. The authority shall have powers common to the parties in the agreement. So it's, that sentence is what's most important. The parties in the agreement already have these authorities and capacities as two government bodies. All we're saying is that as it relates to the specific thing that we've chosen to do together as two government bodies, we're bringing that same authority that we already each have separately to the table. As Ken said, it really wouldn't, at the end of the day, change. We already have that power. So it's all it does is it stipulates that related to this co-wastewater management at Creekside Park shared with the fire district, that we keep those powers as that common entity. It's not really modifying or changing anything significant.
Okay, except that the things that we could, that entity, new bureaucracy could do, because they're authorized to hire and fire staff, put on consultants, buy property, all of this.
Already have power to do.
We wouldn't be so silly as to do that, simply to run a redwood box here with our neighbor. We wouldn't be so silly to do that, but this new group could do it without any oversight by anybody, particularly other than us on this board.
The oversight is built into the agreement with 2 members of each board sitting at the table, being the decision-making entity for the joint powers.
So, isn't it a 5-member board?
No.
Yes, two from each board, and the fifth one six at large.
Yes. So, actually, we don't, this board has no control over it, has absolute control. It's not an equal control. There's a third party, and depends on the third party goes.
The joint power. The whole purpose of that in the agreement.
Did you want to say something?
I did.
Sorry.
Can the Board of Montreal Rec and Park explain to me what it's getting? It has its septic system at Creekside. It is sufficient for its use. What is Montreal Rec and Park getting? Somehow, the beneficiary of the agreement is the fire department. No, I'm...
Okay, but I'll ask you.
asking the question.
What does the rec part get out of it?
Yeah.
An equal share, which helps money go towards that project, and help pay for the project. The septic system itself cost over $200,000.
Which I'm assuming has been paid
It's
for.
coming out of the grant.
What's the okay part?
So if the fire district buys in, they'll pay half, which will help put money towards something else on that same
Is that
project.
in this agreement?
Yeah, the agreement says everything's split equally down the middle.
No. Please, you don't forgive me, Steve.
No, it's okay.
It's my understanding that the septic system is in.
Yeah.
Has the contractor been paid? Has the money been
No,
spent?
no.
So the contractor's done it and he's sitting waiting?
Well, it's not done, the system isn't completed yet. There's still a little more to go, and it's not completed yet.
Is there actually a system? Can you give me the manufacturer and model number of the system that's going in?
Yeah, actually.
And what is it?
It's online.
It's an Oreco system.
And how long to complete it, Stephanie?
wanna say something?
They've applied for, I would say, about half their overall expected bid.
And so they have half of the work left to do. And so what Montreal Rec and Park, I'm just trying to understand things, what Montreal Rec and Park is going to get out of this is the fire department paying for the other half. The grant, was the grant only for half the system?
The grant, as it was originally written, was for a standard leach line septic system.
And?
That would cost about $60,000.
Okay.
But because of the condition of the site, the location close to
PRD required you to do more, so your grant was insufficient?
wholly insufficient.
I'm now getting even more, now I'm back to Park and Rec business. How is it that the work has been progressing on the old school, otherwise known as the Creekside project, progressing through PRMDs? How are you working over there without a functioning septic?
They just use a porta potty.
I don't care about the purpose.
Wait, we're getting that. Yeah, the topic here is the agreement. You're
No, and I'll go back to you. What you're saying to me is that the fire department is going to make up the deficiency that Park and Rec has run into to finance a project that's being built.
No, what we're saying to you is the fire department has a system that needs work, and here's a chance for the fire department to upgrade their system and be a partner with another public agency.
And I think that putting something together and allowing the community to participate in this system would be great. So why don't we offer this opportunity to partners?
Wait a minute. What do you mean the community could participate?
I think if you're going to share septic resources in a community that is desperate, 88, 85, for septic resources, don't give it to the fire department, give it to Bartlett's.
You can't.
Put it out for bid.
Okay, you cannot have a public-private partnership, number one. Number two, there's only enough room. We've done all the tests and the flows, there's only enough room for the fire department. There's no room for anybody else.
Plus, you can't do public-private partnerships.
Then set up a community septic and set up a joint powers thing that makes this possible for people who are going to be red tagged someday.
That is not our job. We are never on.
I don't think it's
You're off topic again.
We're not off topic.
Can I make some comments here? I think I can bring some more together. First, to the comment that the Wrecking Park does not have power, one of the requirements in here is that anything passed by the Joint Powers Agreement have a supermajority of 75%. Essentially, you can't get anything passed without 4 out of 5 votes. So any single Wrecking Park member could essentially veto unless all 4 other members.
There are 5.
Right. So it needs to have 4 out of 5.
I wish I could destroy your argument. Why?
Secondly, the fire district, and I'm a member of the fire district board, the fire district is in fact offering to buy in to a system that Wrecking Park has already committed to for half of the cost. We're willing to participate in half the cost and thereby offset half the cost that Wrecking Park is already committed to. So if we do nothing, you're paying for that system one way or the other. We're saying, take our wastewater, we'll kick in half. And because we are also a public district, we have the ability to do this kind of a partnership, this joint powers agreement. This is an exception. This whole system has been an exception. So here we can set up what is essentially a model of a managed community system. But it is not the managed community system. If one of the solutions to the wastewater problem is community managed systems, then this is how you would set up a model to do it, because it's going to require direct management, there's going to be overhead. If you've got a holding tank and somebody has to be making a day-by-day decision about whether to turn the valve on or off, that's a management problem that you're having to cover. So, and being responsible, you know, when flooding happens, you're making sure that all the systems are being flooded properly. It's a huge management problem that Wrecking Park has already committed to take on. So we are offering, as a fire district, to take it on with you and to share in the cost and get the benefit of it for another public.
But half the cost you keep saying is the stated $200,000 for the system we've already committed to. I take it you're having a battalion of firemen carry buckets down to the half a mile down the road of all this stuff. You're not going to have to dig up sewer lines and pump stuff out.
There are no sewer lines in Montreal.
I know.
We're septic. Number 2, a pipe would have to be run down there, yes.
And would it need pumps and a grinder?
Wouldn't need the grinder, would need, yes.
You would need pumps. And so are those costs included in the, so it's not just $200,000 that we're committed to. It's how much is that going to cost? Move the infrastructure to move it from the fire station.
Maybe 25,000.
If you got an estimate of that.
Yes, I have an estimate. 25,000. Carl Van Dyke.
Who's paying for it?
Well,
It would be, now we're saying at least 225. It's their cost plus. So we're making 75.
Well, plus, we're not making, nobody's making money on this deal.
Oh, no, I'm not trying to say, no. But I mean, I'm not trying to say anybody's making money on it. I'm just trying to say that this cost isn't the starting $200,000 cost. There will be additional infrastructure costs to actually implementing the agreement and everyone, to overseeing it and so forth.
Where's that?
Montreal Park and Rec doesn't seem like it's coming out on a good end of this deal. We're doing it, we're basically getting into a deal that at most is going to bring us $50,000 to the coffers.
But it also will, they're also equal participants in all the future maintenance. If the thing breaks, if whatever happens.
Montreal Park has an equal partner,
They
so
have
it
a
goes wrong.
share of.
Is this a breakable system, or is this a system that has warranty on it?
Any resistance breaks are more.
Did you have one, I'm sorry, you said something.
Dan, in response to you, if Mario Rec and Park agreed to build something at the old school, and they had plans, and they had budgets, and they raised funds, and they got grants, and they got redevelopment money, and they decided it would cost this much, but they don't have that much, why should I, as a member of the public, expect that these people who are involved, majority of which are on the boards of the two separate districts that would be involved in this thing, do any better? Why is the member of the public, why do I think that $200,000 is going to cover this? Why would I think that the system that's supposed to be there now will ever be paid for by anybody? And in this joint powers agreement is so broad that you could conceivably float a bond to pick up the slack. Absolutely not. Fix this thing or make it go away.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comment? Yeah, Chris,
Yeah.
did you want to say something?
I was, I've just seen this draft thing, so I've done the best. I'm not a lawyer, but some of the things that concern me is the idea of acquiring any real or personal property within or outside their district. That sounds like, and then the eminent domain is in there. We already had that fiasco happening where they were trying to take that ranch down the road for something else that Monterey was going to do. That just seems too broad. The other thing is, I don't know, to borrow money, give security, and purchase on. I'm just like, unless there's a printing press in this community that I'm not aware of that's making money, Park and Rec is always in the red.
No, they're not.
Or not?
No, they're not. Go ahead.
Okay, well, they must have a money generating source that I'm not aware of. I mean, for this little community to be cranking out money enough to be able to do this, minus.
Well, wait a minute.
I mean,
Wait a
it
minute.
sounds
All
like
the
we're
money
all-
down there came from a grant. Nobody's cranking out money. What's your point?
What my point is, I'm trying to say, there was a certain amount of money that we got through the state with redevelopment money for it. And you just sort of floated a whole bunch of other figures really quickly past us, but it sounds like there was a certain amount of money allocated for whatever's going on over at Creekside. Broad amount of money. And then this septic system, it sounds like, from what I just heard, went way over what they thought they were going to get with this grant. So then they had to come up with another operating pool of money, which turns out to be the fire department, which must have deeper pockets than I thought they would have. And then there's going to be the road jump that's going to go on to get connected to things. If I just casually say, oh, well, and it's going to be another $20,000 for windows on this side of my house, and, oh, but then they won't match that side, so I'm going to add that, I still have to come up with that money. It's got to come from somewhere. And I'm totally on board with the fire department getting a new earthquake safe and juicy facility so that they can protect us, but I am really concerned about the exponential increase of like this and that, and we're not even talking, I mean, there's no way I can see that 2,500 is going to be the reserve for doing the maintenance contingencies. Where are the other maintenance things going to happen from? Where's that going to, I don't anticipate they're going to be charging like $40 a pop for people to use the skate park. So there's got to be somewhere that the money to run this thing is coming from, and that I don't see addressed here. So who's coming up with that money? And I deeply suspect it's us.
I'm sorry, to run what?
To run the septic
Maintenance,
facility.
upgrade, all the things listed.
Well, that's why you have the joint powers, that you put so much money in each year, put it in the pot, and when something comes up, you pull out of that and pay for it. But remember, you're talking a brand new system, so by right, you really shouldn't have much maintenance for the first 10 or 20 years.
But what I'm hearing is that all of these things were way over whatever was already budgeted from the redevelopment money. You had to get more money from this, and more money from that, and you're getting some from the fire department and all this stuff, but I don't know what the final figure was, and if all of that's covered, and if it's not, where's the money coming from?
Okay,
I have to come up with a
I don't know all of what things you're talking about. We're only talking about one thing here. We're talking about septic. We're not talking
Okay,
about
the septic and the pipes and whatever else
That's
is going to
all
go
part
to
of
the
the
fire
system,
department, that can have been part of the original system. and that must have been an additional thing. And then there is the operating it on the end of the fire department, the operating it, you know, whatever pumps, grinders, yada, yada, yada. I don't know anything about that stuff, but I do know that it's not going to be free. So how much is the final figure for all of this stuff? What money do we have now from that redevelopment thing? And how much are each of these parties going to have to kick into it? And do they have it? Because I keep hearing how strapped Park and Rec is. They can't replace toilets. They can't do this. They can't do that. Right? So where's the money coming from? That's what I want to know. You're not printing it in this building. I haven't seen a printing press. So where's the money?
We don't mean to complicate you, I see.
Well, no, I'm trying to be polite here. Some of these things I'm hearing, I just don't understand because...
You're talking to taxpayers who want to know how their money is.
And I'm a taxpayer too, and I want to know how my money's used also.
Absolutely.
And I'm trying to get the best I can for my buck because there's certain things that need to be done. The fire department septic system needs to be upgraded.
I understand.
The rec and parks system is there and there's able to take a partner on. We're trying to be partners.
But it's not paid for.
We have, pardon?
But it's not paid for, Steve, so the best
Wait a
way
minute. What is not paid for?
If the fire department doesn't pick up the slack on the septic at the old school, if I'm understanding Stephanie correctly, I'm not sure where they're getting the money to finish it. Do you know where you're getting money to finish
It
it?
means that other parts of the park will not be put in place.
Okay, so that the original plan is being altered because the money isn't available.
But the
To me,
original plan-
Steve, it's just bad planning.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it is.
All right. Anything else anybody want to say? Yes, go ahead.
All through this agreement, you refer to hiring people, putting aside an annual budget for this and that. It can't operate at a deficit. The party shall pay for the entire operation of the authority. So, yeah, you're making it sound like maintaining this thing will cost money, and this authority will have a budget.
But you have, I'm sorry, but you
So
have
where's the
to,
money coming from?
right, from each person's budget, 50/50 from each budget. But the thing we've got to remember though is this is a brand new system. There's not going to be that much expense in the beginning.
Then you don't need that.
Excuse me, you've had your turn, please.
You're right, you're right.
Please. So, we budget for it, okay? What we're talking, and to answer your question, we're looking at about $225,000 to get the whole project done. That's what we're talking about. Both districts are budgeting that. We have money in the grant. If the fire district puts money into this, then that frees money for another part of the project. If we don't get into it, then some part of the project has to be cut to pay for that. That's just the way of the world. And you know as well as I do, you go out and plan something. When you're done, it's always going to cost more than what you thought it was going to cost. We didn't know the septic system was going to cost this kind of money. So we're trying to make amends and trying to make it work.
I'm just asking about.
Yes.
Can Monorail Park and Rec afford to maintain this thing? Like, can they afford to maintain the skate park and all the other things that are planned at Creekside?
You haven't been to, I think, I don't know who you are, and you haven't been to a few of our meetings recently, but our park has really financially turned around in the past 16 months. We've added a significant amount of assets. We've repaired a great deal of our assets, and we're up to our repair and maintenance. We've budgeted, in our 13-14 budget, we're budgeting for 1 full year of total operations over at Creekside, carrying that load, when in fact, we probably aren't going to be carrying the whole load. So,
You have budgeted to carry.
we absolutely have.
I didn't see that in the budget.
It's in the
That's in the
13-14,
budget.
it is in the 13-14 in our prelims, and we're
Sure, we
actually...
should get back to see public comment.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We
Yes,
have
you-
a topic where
Yeah,
we-
one more. Do you have a comment on this?
Well, my comment on this is you're talking about all this stuff running, but are we ever going to get the bathrooms built?
That's not the topic. The topic is this. We're talking about this one. That's the topic. The topic is the septic between the two districts right now.
Now, the septic between Creekside,
The two districts between Monorail Rec and Park and the fire district.
there's a limitation that it's this septic too.
So we're not talking about this over here. We're talking about that.
Then it's not.
Talking about doing a new septic when the old one doesn't work.
Okay. Anybody have any other comments?
About the
Okay, go ahead.
JPA, about the JPA, or a discussion. And that is, I'm on the board of the library. We've worked for the last year and a half rewriting the JPA for the library because there were failures in the JPA. And one of the weak points was lack of community involvement. Their approach when they set up the library JPA was to have the editors, the members, appoint a commissioner to the library board. And that became so insular that there was really no input into or out of the library to the public. And the public was very, very frustrated. It caused the firing of Sandy Cooper, the head of the library system. It caused the Board of Suits to step in. It caused the grand jury to investigate what was going on there and recommend to the Board of Suits that they shake things up and rewrite the JPA, which they've done now. And one of the focuses of attention on the rewritten JPA is to get massively more community involvement. And I noticed that we're starting off on this JPA with an insular, and I know Ken wants to talk about that, an insular look and not a broad board that could form a district that might be useful to the public at large.
I would just like to point out, the position is within the JPA that the authority will be a Brown Act organization. All meetings will have the public, there will be public meetings and public agendas and get all the Brown Act protections.
Which we don't already get with this board.
Excuse me?
Which we don't already get with this board.
What don't we get with this board?
Brown Act protection.
We don't?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you. Any other comments? Okay. On to the next one, Personnel Committee.
So are we going to,
Let's go later on.
we're leaving it not as an action item for the end?
No, it's this law, yeah, it's on number 7. Okay. So Personnel Committee, we talked today about, we're going to set a meeting within the next couple of weeks on the
Yes,
Personnel
we have a
Committee.
whole personnel, but
Okay.
nothing to talk about
Nothing
tonight.
more. Okay, Mark, Public Outreach, any report?
Just very briefly, that the marketing, we just wanted to put it out to the board, the full board, that maybe seems like the marketing public outreach focus is changing, and it's gearing more towards the website than marketing, because we haven't done any marketing. And I'm thinking that might be what our focus would be more the website than anything else.
Is there a reason for that?
Well, we really have, there's really been, we haven't done any marketing. I mean, I've only been on for a few months. And the events coordinator does all of her own marketing and hasn't come to us for any of that. So we're just,
Yeah, I was saying that the oversight of the marketing that is done on behalf of the district should still be within that committee to look at and talk about if it comes up, but if it's not
there's nothing.
needed, I would, yeah.
Yeah.
You're not saying that you're going to stop looking at that, you just haven't been doing that recently?
Yeah, there's been nothing brought up.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to be clear, because so you're not saying you guys want to change, but it's just that we're just only focusing on the website.
Right.
Okay.
For the next year, okay, for this fiscal year.
Okay.
What's one that makes sense to focus on something?
It's still, it's been on hold. Start back up again here.
Okay. LAFCO, any committee report on
Just
that?
quickly, Mr. Goderi's on vacation, so he's going to get back to me when he returns, and then we'll set up, I'll let Diane know, and place it on the agenda for the presentation.
Okay. Any correspondence?
People that might be interested in some, I guess, environmental health and safety changes in cottage food operations and garden certifications. It may affect us at Creekside. I mean, it sounds like they're just being a little more lenient in that industry, so I'm sure the garden group would be interested in those things. Let's see. And then the Sonoma County Water Agency management of the mouth of Jenner. Just an FYI, so there's a meeting coming up.
Oh, they're, Paul, senior for that.
Okay.
And he's going to report back. We need to do.
Okay.
Okay. Now, action items. A motion will be made and seconded for each item, followed by board discussion. The item will then be open for public discussion. Public comment will close. Final discussion of the item by the board will take place with no public interruption. The board will then vote. What do we decide on the Friends of Montreal?
So I'd like to make a motion that we move forward with the agreement as it's written with the two stipulations that I had mentioned before. One, that the dollar amount be negotiated up or down based upon identifying actual cost of the district. And two, that we clearly state that with the exception of cost, that all other terms and conditions of our rental agreement remain in full effect for the Friends of Monterey's activities on district property.
Okay. Second, okay, we have the first second. Any public comment on this item? Kathy second. Is there any public comment on the?
I just want to say that I think that the events that both this combination is putting on are really successful, and I'm really happy that you guys are working together to get the community together as often, and it's good quality. So,
Thank you. No other comment, any other board discussion?
Just that I think it's important that we do follow up. We're talking about it now, but we'll get through a couple of months, we'll do our end on the facilities level, and then readdress it.
Okay. Okay, then I'll
Could I
take it.
get a point of clarity? Are we
No,
talking about
No,
this? Oh, I'm
I'm sorry, we're talking about the Friends of Montreal contract, or Friends of Montreal agreement.
Okay,
All
sorry.
right, okay. So, board, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, 5-0. Okay, joint powers agreement between the Montreal Rec Park and the Montreal Fire District. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Kat.
Powers agreement between
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jean. Okay, public comment. Yes, Zelda?
It is my recommendation that that joint powers agreement go back and think about eliminating some of the things that are in there, such as the ability to practice eminent domain. That was a big part of redevelopment. Redevelopment eliminated eminent domain from its discussions. And also the possibility that in this joint powers agreement, the powers in it to, in theory, float a bond, just on the say-so of this new entity that is being created. I think you are, if it has taken you months to come up with a contract for Friends of Montreal and the Park District, I think it should take more than a month to get involved, especially since this is a draft agreement, to pass on this and make it the real thing. Take your time, get input from the community, and I don't mean the few of us that are here now, and find out how the community feels about all of this interesting business.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Yes.
Well, according to this, it's not clearly spelled out that the board of directors of this would be people from this board and people from the fire board.
Yeah,
It
and
just says they'll be appointed.
2 from each board and 1 at the community at large.
Well, it doesn't say that in here.
These are
I don't believe the authority should be governed by a 5-member board. Each party shall appoint 2 members of the board, and the appointed members shall select a 5th. That doesn't say choose 2 of their own. Question also, the authority is authorized in its own name to perform all acts necessary for the exercise of common powers. That doesn't sound to me like they have to run back to these boards and get everything approved. It sounds like they can act in their own name, and by this agreement they've been given these powers. And also, what would prevent, say, any future member of this board or any other from, appointing each other to these commissions, and like in Bell, California, paying each other thousands of dollars every month? Isn't this kind of like an invitation to abuse here?
Why? Okay, I just don't see where it is. On these boards right now, we're serving for free. Nobody's getting paid anything like that.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, is that any other comments?
So couldn't you appoint each other and pay each other to serve on this board?
I don't think that's ever going to happen. Anything could.
JPA allows.
You and all future boards. Well, it seems to me it's a very broad agreement and that it's open
Okay,
for abuse.
thank you. And you have a comment?
Yeah, I'm just looking, keeping in mind the money portion of this. I'm not sure, I think this is number 4 on these powers and duties. It says to appoint necessary employees and to provide a schedule of compensation for the performance of their duties. There's no input from anybody else besides these 2 groups. And I know the money's got to come from somewhere. And I'm just concerned that to borrow money or give security therefore and purchase on, I mean, there's just all this money stuff that is possible to happen without any input from the community that's going to be funding it. And I think that that is really abusive, that we didn't get a chance to vote on this.
Okay, except that they're public meetings, it's nothing. Okay.
We're not going to be voting on all of these individual things. It's going to be this entity that's being created is going to be voting on it, and the monies to run whatever they decide they're going to do is going to be coming from us. And we have had no influence.
Any other comments? Minutes. Any other comment from the public? Christmas, you done?
No, I'm not. I'm just going back down to assessment. There is to assess the parties to finance the entire operation of this authority. I'm just looking at how much we had from our original thing with the redevelopment money, the budgets of the respective people. I mean, I admit I don't know what fantastic things Park and Rec had come up with it, that they're suddenly flush, but I do know that the bathrooms are not getting repaired and other things are not being done in a timely manner because supposedly the Park and Rec was in such terrible financial straits. I know that the bathrooms across from the tennis courts don't work.
Okay, we're not talking about bathrooms, we're talking about this. Trying to keep it on topic. We're trying to keep it on topic.
Okay, well, I'm just concerned about
Okay.
both
I
of these
appreciate
things
that. I think that's good.
and the
Yeah.
money that's going to be required to run them. We're not going to be getting more redevelopment money. There's not going to be any cash cow coming from the state. So where is the money coming from to run this thing?
Okay. Dan, you have any comments?
Well, in partial response to Chris, it's a really valid question. Where is the money coming from? Because by taking on Creekside Park, the Rec and Park District took on obligation to maintain it, and so that is a done deal. And where the money is probably coming from is that redevelopment money that was going to redevelopment is now coming back. So there actually is money for that. That's correct. Your taxes are not going up because of what we're talking about here. What's actually happening is that the fire district is offering to come in and defray some of those expenses. So that's where part of the money is coming from. And for the fire district, that solves a serious problem that we're facing, which is that our current situation is not sustainable. We have a septic, a leach field that's subject to failure. So this will very immediately solve a very big problem for us. And we're willing to kick in some of our budget in order to defray some of the expenses to which the park district is already committed. So the answer to your question is part of the money is coming from us. And that's actually bringing down the cost to the Rec and Park District. And it's a win-win. There's really not a real good reason to oppose this. It's a real win-win.
I'm not opposing, I'm wanting information, just fact-finding information about where, I mean, even like money, okay, I don't know a lot about this stuff, but I'm asking questions. They may sound stupid to you because you're in the know. But like, I see the fire department having barbecues. I'm assuming that's raising money for their operating budget. I don't know. Do you get money from the state to run it?
No, I
have no idea.
Okay, any other questions? Anytime you want to sit down and talk, I'll tell you how the money comes.
Oh, I like to.
We're talking about this right now. So, did you want to say something, Zelda? I saw your hand.
I just wanted to say to Dan, it isn't your fire district money, it's my tax money. That's your money, my money.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
And the fire department avoid this?
Yes.
Where they can get
First of all, we don't get.
Okay, okay, okay.
Fire district.
Okay, that's, I can explain that to you later too. Okay, is there any other questions in the audience? Yes, go ahead.
Not a question, just an observation, listening to this discussion. It seems like most people like the idea. It sounds like a good idea, but there are specific concerns about some of the language here, which I think is pretty much just, like you said, this is just what a joint powers agreement is. But I think given the level of concern in the community here, especially to some things that must have historic emotion around it, like eminent domain, I keep hearing, and some other things, why not just take another pass at it? Why not address some of these concerns? Because these, as I heard, both districts do already have these powers. If it makes people happier not to repeat them in this, why not think about that? I just think it might be, I think ultimately what you're going for, people are in favor of, but there are concerns about some of the language that's making people nervous. So I would suggest maybe
Everything you
take
said?
a little.
Yeah, I just want to add, I like the idea of the two groups working together. I don't like the idea, given the history that this town has already had with the threat of eminent domain for a septic system, that that's looped into this is very concerning for me.
Okay.
I don't have property down here that's ever going to be a worrisome thing. It's not a personal thing. I just don't like the idea that a public entity can just decide, oh, this is here, this is nearby. It could be like Matthew and Wolfgang's property is close enough. Maybe, you need to spread out. Maybe it's going to be their land. I don't know, but I just know that I would be much more comfortable if that was not in here. Especially as it concerns the septic system, which this town already tried to make some property or something representing this town tried to take somebody's property in order to put a septic system we didn't want in play. So I'd love it if that alone could be edited from this agreement.
Okay, thank you. All right, so now it's board discussion. Go ahead.
Oh, good. I would like to propose that, plead with the rest of the board to do their duty, so to speak, of being careful watchguards of the taxpayer money, and propose the following. We table this for 3 months, this motion, and that we have 3 community meetings on the subject. Let the public be involved. One, I say 3, September, October, November. 1 in the evening, 1 in the daytime, and 1 on the weekend, so we cover everybody so they can attend. Have them here, and with us, presumably in attendance, or not. And to go over, to try and recraft it. I've watched, as I said, the entire library system, the Board of Suits, and the grand jury spend literally dozens and dozens of meetings and hundreds of hours of work recrafting, item by item, and talking about with public input each item in their new JPA. It's not an easy task, and to just throw one on the table and say, oh, yeah, here's right here, and create that bureaucratic structure that is going to affect everybody in this room, and everybody else in this room, with just an eye of a vote without any more public input than we've gotten tonight. Nobody else has seen this outside of this room. I think it's crazy. I think it would be. So I think we should wait 3 months.
Any other board comment?
I appreciate Peter's concern and the community, and I think the 3 months is too long. However, after hearing everybody talk, and actually, Ryan, your comment specifically, I don't think we can approve a document unless the word drafted. And I think maybe we should look at this one more time, maybe there needs to be an alteration. Obviously, that word draft was written there for a reason. I sit on the facilities committee. I am absolutely aware of what this joint powers agreement means. We've been talking about it for months at the facilities level. We have talked to fire district board members. So just because I know everything that's going on doesn't mean that even the rest of the board members sitting here know what's going on. So I'd like to suggest maybe I take my motion off the table for the vote tonight. If this was any other topic, I talking about it for so much. So because it says draft across the paper, maybe we rework it, we get a finalized version from the council, maybe even have a special meeting if we need to, because we know that the time is of the essence because of the situation with the fire district and the situation with Creekside Park. But I think maybe, and believe me, if I could vote tonight, I would on it, but maybe there needs to be a little bit more. But
We're
we're at the
board
board
comments,
session.
sorry.
We're,
In response to that, can I, for discussion purposes, so it has to say draft because we haven't approved it. That's the only reason draft is a process. It's not a final document until we say it is.
okay.
And we have the authority to vote and do that tonight, so just put that aside for a
Thank you
second.
for that. I appreciate it.
I would, in the interest of the timing, like the critical nature of the timing of the project moving forward, I would ask, I guess, wonder what you think is going to be accomplished or changed in the course of the delay, and what would end up different when two entities, so I guess from my understanding, two entities that already have all the powers that are outlined here come together and say, related to this Creekside Wastewater Authority, just for this one particular purpose, which is what this agreement is related to, nothing else but that. We bring those powers with us to the table. We agree to use it in this way, do it in this way. I don't know what would change in this agreement related to it that's useful in delaying a decision. I guess I would want to talk about that.
I guess probably the reason why I brought it up is one, this is the first time the full board has discussed it, and two, my interpretation of the draft. So I appreciate the clarity, and I completely understand that the draft will mean prior to vote. I do know the urgency. Believe me, I talk about it every 2 weeks as a student. So I'm just wanted to put something out there on the table that, obviously we have a board director who is definitely opposed to making this vote this evening, and I don't want us more discussion.
So I guess I have one more piece on that. I was going to say something by way of saying thank you to everybody who's done all the hard work to get us here, because that's what the committees and the other people, that's what the fire district and our committee on this topic have been working on and doing. And that's what committee work is supposed to be for, is to come to us with your best recommendation to resolve the minutiae details of the different activities within the district. And I think you've done an extraordinary job in coming with this agreement. I think it's thoughtful. I think it is a graceful, elegant solution to a common problem and issue. And my tendency as a board member would be to say thank you to the facilities committee. This is your recommendation, and that's the motion you're making, to review it myself, ask all the questions, listen to the public input, and then vote on it. And not continue a discussion outside of the group of experts who have actually been in the details of it, because that's really where the decision and recommendation should come from. So I want to honor that too. And I'm still willing to continue the discussion. I just wanted to say that. I think that's
I
what
just
we're
comment back. As far as what would change, I think you've heard from the audience at large dozens of things that would change. I mean, there's objections to many, many, many of the clauses. This is a boilerplate JPA. This is not specifically intended for us. It's just straight out of the laws. And and as far as the need for haste, I'm reminded of the time when we were urged to haste 8-9 months ago over making what some thought was one decision versus another, and because we had to get something done by June, and now we're off to another year's full funding. So the haste in this project doesn't buy anything with me. That we have to sign it tonight or the world will.
Okay, anything else left to say for the board members? Okay, you want the motion to stay on the floor? We have a motion in a second. Are we going to vote on it, or do you want to pull the motion? That's my last
Well,
question.
I'm certainly comfortable voting on it. I just
Okay.
want
Okay, then we have a motion and a second on the floor. We've done all the discussion. Now we'll take a vote. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Aye. Nay.
Motion passed.